Good morning, and thank you for taking time out of your Friday to be with us. I hope you and yours are all healthy and well. I'm Matt Jacobs, Director of the Bob Graham Center for Public Service and the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences here at the University of Florida. It is my pleasure to welcome you as we honor two outstanding citizens of our state and share with you a bit about who we are and what we do here at the Graham Center. I would especially like to recognize Governor and Mrs. Graham, who are observing today, and Dean David Richardson and Associate Dean Mary Watt, both from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Thank you for joining us. Under normal circumstances, the recognition of these honorees would take place as part of the annual Graham Gathering that occurs each spring. Not surprisingly, we were unable to hold that event in 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic. Thus, before we proceed, we'd like to acknowledge two devastating events that have happened since we last gathered together in May 2019. The first is indeed the pandemic itself, which has cost the lives of over 222,000 Americans, including nearly 16,000 Floridians, and 1.1 million people worldwide. The second event, which actually preceded the pandemic by a few months, was the passing of David Colburn, my predecessor as director of the Graham Center, former provost of the University of Florida, and dear friend of Governor and Mrs. Graham. David Colburn served his country honorably in Vietnam. Through his scholarship, urged the state of Florida to reckon with the intersection of race and politics in its past, filled almost every imaginable administrative position here at the University of Florida, and inspired and supported students at all levels as a teacher, advisor, mentor, and sponsor. Please join me for a brief moment of silence to recognize David Colburn, as well as the many Floridians, Americans, and individuals worldwide who have perished during this pandemic. Thank you. Let me also take care of some housekeeping and lay out how things will progress over the next 45 minutes or so. We will have several presenters. I'm speaking live here in the Okora at Pugh Hall, where we have an appropriately socially distanced and masked production team. We will have some speakers appearing via pre-recorded video, and others, including students and our honorees, appearing live remotely via Zoom. We will have a question and answer period with our honorees, moderated by one of our students, near the end of today's event. For that, we will ask you to submit your questions via the Q&A functionality within the Zoom webinar platform. In case you are not familiar with the Bob Graham Center for Public Service, let me share with you a bit about who we are and what we do. Inspired by the careers and vision of Bob and Adele Graham, we are driven to develop in our students, the broader university community, and its stakeholders the mindset and skills necessary to pursue effective civic engagement, public leadership, and public service. We are focused on helping individuals, regardless of background or professional position, work in ways that ensure that all our communities and members of our communities at all levels, from the local to the national and international, can thrive. We're a place where the future small business owner can begin to think through how his or her company connects with the surrounding community. Where the future head of a nonprofit can explore the relationship between leadership and service. And where a future elected official can start to understand how to make and implement effective public policies. In short, we want the Bob Graham Center to be a place where any of UF's approximately 40,000 undergraduate students and other members of the university community can find an intellectual home if they are so inclined. We do all of this through 6 broad initiatives. First is our curricular component, comprised of the interdisciplinary international studies major and the public leadership minor. Second, and probably most visibly, is our public programming, where we bring in individuals to speak on or facilitate discussion about important issues of the day. Third is our research component, where we not only connect faculty and undergraduates to conduct research, but also help them to disseminate the products of that research through op-eds, blogs, data visualization tools, or other forums. Fourth, we have a thriving professional development component, exemplified by the Tallahassee Internship Program, through which we send interns to Tallahassee every spring legislative session. Our local Gainesville Fellows Program, and a new effort with UF's Office of Government Relations to develop in Washington, D.C. internship program as well. Fifth, we offer a variety of engagement opportunities that help develop leadership skills and promote work on specific issues for our students. These include our work with the Freshman Leadership Council, the Florida Political Review, the Future of Florida Summit, the Graham Center Student Fellows, and a new public health civics program we will be launching this spring. Finally, we are direct civic participants as well, as the Graham Center coordinates most of UF's voter registration and get out the vote efforts, and has been an important collaborator on the 2020 census as well. You will hear more about some of these initiatives from the perspectives of our students a little bit later in today's program. So we have much to keep us busy, but it's important for us to take time to recognize models of engaged citizenship, public leadership, and public service. We do that through 2 awards, the Brian Dazzler Young Floridian of the Year and the Citizen of the Year. The Young Floridian of the Year award is meant to recognize an individual generally in the first 10 years or so of his or her career who has demonstrated an early yet deep commitment to civic engagement, public leadership, and public service. The Citizen of the Year award honors an individual who has demonstrated an enduring commitment to and legacy of civic engagement, public leadership, and public service. Of course, I could continue to talk about the work of the Graham Center and the honors we are conferring today, but I think it would be appropriate for me to step aside to let the founder and namesake of the center, former Governor and Senator Bob Graham, say a few words about what the center and these awards mean to him.
Good morning. My wife Adele and I would like to thank you all for attending today. It's my great pleasure to deliver my remarks to you from the Bob Graham Center for Public Service on the University of Florida campus. Although it bears my name, the center was created with the help of many individuals who have shared my vision and desire to train a new generation of engaged citizens. The opportunity to recognize 2 Floridians who are outstanding examples of citizens' engagement comes at an important time for our state and nation. We look to individuals like G.C. Murray II, our Young Floridian of the Year, and the Honorable Alex Sink, our Citizen of the Year, as prime examples of how we can do more to fulfill our rights and responsibilities as citizens in a democracy. I think that our democracy was best defined by Thomas Jefferson. He said that democracy is a form of government built upon citizens being willing to first understand and then execute their rights and responsibilities in a way that benefited their neighbors and the new nation of America. Here at the Graham Center, we are encouraging University of Florida students and people of all ages to learn about their community by actually getting involved in learn by doing, to take advantage of opportunities to participate in their democracy and to develop the skills to do so effectively. Democracy was never intended to be a spectator sport. It's always been about participation. And today we will honor 2 individuals whose participation makes our communities and our democracy stronger. I hope you will join me in congratulating this year's recipients of the Graham Center's Award for Excellence in Public Service, G.C. Murray II and the Honorable Alex Sink. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Graham, for those remarks, but more importantly, for your own service to our state and country, and especially for your continued commitment to civic engagement, public leadership, and public service as manifested here in the Graham Center. Now let me introduce our first honoree. G.C. Murray II is already having a significant impact on our state and our fellow citizens. Raised in South Florida, even in high school, he was already thinking of the wider community, collecting food and clothing to help those in need. He graduated from Florida International University in 2008 and then earned his law degree at Florida State University. GC is the founder of the Innovative Community Engagement Foundation, which seeks to inspire millennials in particular, and especially those who are lawyers, to become more involved in their communities. The organization is headquartered in Tallahassee, but has chapters in Jacksonville, Miami, Orlando, and on the Gulf Coast. In 2016, the American Bar Association recognized G.C. Murray as one of 40 young lawyers nationwide who exemplify high achievement, innovation, vision, leadership, and legal and community service. He currently serves as special counsel and director of membership for the Florida Justice Association. Following a short video honoring GC, he will join us to reflect on the honor and the role that leadership and service play in his life.
One has been implanted with this thing in them, this theory of telos, your destiny. And it's your whole duty to grow that to its maximum potential. You can help people by helping them get to their righteous destiny. I remember early on in life, I was able to see and witness firsthand the effects of community service. I was born in Key West. My dad was the first Black assistant state attorney in Monroe County. And then a couple years later, we moved up to Miami. So I spent most of my life in Miami. My mom's a teacher. My dad was a lawyer. He's now a judge. I remember my dad and him asking me to help put together gift packages for inner city students. There was a happiness in the giving. It wasn't about what toys you were giving out. It wasn't about the fact that you were giving out toys. There's just a happiness in putting the gift packages together. So in addition to seeing the effects of what it had on the kids, I was able to see the effects it had on the people who were putting them together. People genuinely felt good that they were doing good. So I just always have that warm feeling about giving because that's what I remember seeing. I remember in high school, I was a member of the 5,000 Role Models of Excellence, and I had to create a project. So I created what I called at the time the When No One Is Looking project. And it was just a big box that was upstairs in the high school, and people were able to put used clothing, non-perishable foods, and things of that nature, put them in the box when no one was looking, and it turned out like a lot of people gave. It just continued to roll, and then you got to see like just the big effect that such a small little action took and made. Doing community service helps you realize your place in the world. My mom always says that I was born to be a lawyer. Once I started law school, what I came to learn was there is such a unique aspect of that Juris Doctor degree. You can do anything with it. And so there was so much space that I was able to do so much good. But I also saw that there was a huge gap between the community service side, and that's where we've been able to fulfill. The Innovative Community Engagement Foundation, affectionately known as the ICE Foundation, our mission is mentorship, service, and professional development. I'll be honest, my favorite is mentorship. That's where we get into the K through 12 system and we interact with the kids. But in addition to all of that, we have a lot of service projects like the When No One Is Looking project, where we collect used professional clothing and share the warmth. We do it in Tallahassee during the winter treat or treat, where we went into an elementary school, we gave the kids candy, and then we just helped the teacher with the lesson plan that day. We do the backpack bash. We traditionally give school supplies, but with the students going into distance learning, we were able to shift, and we also gave out laptops. But then we also have a professional development component where we're aiding law students into utilizing the ICE Foundation as a platform for their own growth and their own things that they're interested in with the community. I just want to be remembered as a person that gave back, someone that understood the value of service, understood that, there's a reason why we're here on this planet. And I've been tremendously blessed. I grew up in the inner cities of Miami, and education was my key pathway to success. I've seen it firsthand on like how that little difference of either a teacher taking an interest in you or, you just getting that opportunity can completely change the trajectory of your life. And I want to be known as a person who tried to help other people get to that same thing so other people can achieve their telos.
GC is always one of those people that no matter what the circumstances are, he always wants to help. You can always tell that he just had this passion and compassion for everybody around him and really wanted to make a difference.
He's always been involved at the ground level of wanting to get things done. And so whether it be working with kids and directly impacting their lives, or law students or students in general, GC has always been interested in helping to push folks to the next level and helping them to get to the next level.
GC has shown leadership in public service from the day I first met him.
GC has already made his mark in terms of service and a legacy of service. And it's so interesting for me to say that because he's still such a young person.
A commitment to service really starts at an early age, and he's developed that.
GC continues to develop professionally and in his public service.
He is someone that we need to watch. GC Murray is an up and coming future leader. I don't know what he's going to end up doing, but he is a rock star.
I'm honored to recognize GC Murray II as the 2020 Brian Dazzler Young Floridian of the Year for the Bob Graham Center for Public Service.
You know, Dr. Jacobs said that I could keep the award if I could constrain my remarks to 4 minutes. And as a trial lawyer, I thought that was impossible until I just saw that video. I'm just speechless. I'm grateful to those who chose to speak in the video. I truly appreciate their friendship and their mentorship. Honestly, it makes me think about how God has put certain people in my life. You know, my father inspires me. My mother encourages me. My older brother and my little sister, they keep me humble. They keep me grounded. And my friends, my nation of friends have pushed me. They've challenged me. They've allowed me to continue to grow into the person that I am today. I have work colleagues from Leadership Tallahassee, Leadership Florida, the Florida Bar. All of them have just played this tremendous role to push me to becoming the man I am today, so I can get to the pinnacle of my life, to be worthy for my dynamic and beautiful wife, who's given me the best gift of all, a bright and brilliant son who looks just like me, for the record. You know, I remember giving a dragon holding the sun to my dad. He was a double black belt from a Black Dragon dojo, so I knew he would like it. It was a Father's Day. I was young, maybe 10. And then he said, you know, son, do you know the story of the dragons? And I said, no. He said, there are 2 dragons living in you, which explains why I was so skinny growing up, right? There are 2 dragons living in you, and they're constantly warring. One dragon feeds off of jealousy, envy, ignoble impulses. The other dragon feeds off of goodwill, amiability, charity. He said, do you know which dragon will win? The good one. No. The bad one? No. At this point, my mom is smirking because she sees my dad is hazing me. The dragon who will win, he said, is the one you feed the most. That's always stuck with me throughout my life. And as I reflect upon that now at this moment, I realize that everyone may not have an internal dragon, but we all are faced with that dichotomy. We're all faced with that question every single day of whether or not we do good or do nothing. Whether or not we take our light and hide it under a bushel, or do we take our light, do we march to the highest of the hills and shine it for all of the city to see? And so for those who are listening during a time like this, where we're in a pandemic, we're dealing with social unrest, racial tensions, if you're waiting on the universe to give you a sign that you can do it, that you should do it, I am hoping, I am proffering that this is that moment. This is the time to think big and to act big are now. You know, my mom always said the best time to plant a tree was years ago, but the next best time is right now. And your time is now. You know, I'm so grateful to be a recipient of this award. I'm sharing this honor with the Honorable Alex Sink, who has always chosen to feed the right dragon. And I'm honored to stand on the shoulders of such a great giant in Governor Graham and his wife, Adele. I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to share my story. I hope that it inspires other people to do their great things. And I look forward to continuing to push people to shine and shine bright. Thank you.
Thank you, GC, for not only your insights, but also the great work you do. Good morning, y'all. My name is Hannah Townley, and I'm a junior here at the University of Florida, studying political science and English with minors in Latin American and African studies. The Bob Graham Center for Public Service has been my home here on campus since I joined as a student fellow my freshman year. From Get Out the Vote initiatives in 2018 and now in 2020, to the citizenship educational programs, this democratic participation confirmed for me that I want to pursue a career in public service, to make it my life work to uphold our democracy in service of others. But public service, especially government work, is a notoriously hard field to break into. Entry-level positions ask for years of experience. The prevalence of unpaid internships means they're often inaccessible due to affordability. And even if you have the right experience, completed the right internships, it's still networks of who you know that ultimately decide whether or not you're hired. All of this overwhelmed me. As the daughter of two public school teachers from Polk County, the worlds of Tallahassee and Washington seemed impossibly out of reach. But the Graham Center has been instrumental in making public service accessible to myself and countless other students. Serving as Director of Special Projects and now Vice President for the Student Fellows has given me experience in executing large campaigns and projects such as international fairs, educational workshops, and anti-racism initiatives. Working as a policy intern with the UF Office of Federal Relations this past summer taught me the ins and outs of analysis and advocacy, and scholarship from the Graham Center made it possible for me to do this internship. The technical and professional skills I gained went beyond career development. Thanks to my involvement with the Graham Center, I can clearly see how each of these skills are tools for serving others, making my community a better place. And this isn't just a story of me, one kid from Polk County, becoming prepared for a career in public service. It's the story of dozens of my friends and classmates, the Graham Center providing us with opportunities to make the inaccessible become within our reach. For Eileen Caleb, growing up Filipino American, she was made to believe she wasn't American enough for public service. But Graham Center programs highlighting the diversity of accomplished young professionals in government showed her that a career in the foreign service is not just aspirational, but definitely achievable. For Madison Gore, a young Jewish woman, her ASCII-funded research on the role of Holocaust education in the US is an important way to share the narratives of her religious identity. For Grace Banahan, interning in the Tallahassee internship program gave her a chance to not only work on legislation of women's issues, but directly report to female leadership that mentored her on what it means to be a woman in politics. For Dianelda Polito, another alum of the Tallahassee program, agrees that the office culture of working alongside a team of women in politics was empowering. But by also working in the office of a Latino state senator, she was representing the Latinx community at Florida's highest levels of leadership. The Atlantic has declared that Gen Z is primed to be the most politically involved and socially conscious generation yet, but also the most diverse. It is imperative then that our future public servants reflect that diversity. The Graham Center is doing critical work in ensuring that students from all walks of life have crucial access to our city halls, our legislatures, and our executive agencies. Before the Graham Center, the stories I told you today of my friends and I finding our voices and roles as leaders in this democracy would have been unheard of at UF. But now, because of the Graham Center's tireless support of students, I'm proud to say that we are no longer an exception, but quickly becoming the rule.
Thank you, Hannah, for those great remarks. Good morning, everyone. My name is Gus Duran, and I'm a junior majoring in political science and history at the University of Florida. I'm coming to you today, not from Gainesville, but from sunny South Florida, where I've lived as a resident for over 10 years. I'm the first in my family to go to college in the United States, and I was naturalized as an American citizen just about a year ago. My journey at the Bob Graham Center for Public Service began when Dr. Jacobs invited me to attend a civic engagement conference at Harvard's National Institute of Politics. I'm glad I said yes, because the experience was so amazing that I was excited to help the center prepare for the 2020 election. Unfortunately, COVID-19 had other ideas. I didn't think about civic engagement until Dorothy emailed me about attending the first meeting for the Gator Get Out the Vote Coalition. The coalition is comprised of student organizations, faculty, and staff who have the goal of increasing civic engagement at UF during an unprecedented time. Shortly after the first meeting, Marianne emailed me to ask if I could help lead the coalition as a civic engagement intern. That was 6 months ago. In that time, the coalition has collectively registered over 2,300 students to vote, raised over $17,000 in grant money, and is now mobilizing the entire Gator community to get out and vote. If we were in person right now, this would be the time to clap. Being in the front seat of this initiative has been an amazing opportunity, as I've learned to successfully carry out campus initiatives and made meaningful connections along the way. I can confidently say that helping lead the civic engagement efforts during the last 6 months is the best educational experience I'll have at the University of Florida. And I still have a year and a half left to go. Just like Marianne, Dorothy, and Dr. Jacobs believed in me, I'm asking you to believe in the Bob Graham Center and the impact it has on students, because the Gator Get Out the Vote Coalition is just getting started.
Wow. Thank you, Hannah and Gus. When people ask me why I do what I do, Hannah and Gus demonstrate it. As you can see, we have some outstanding students here at the Graham Center. I've had the opportunity to work closely with both Hannah and Gus. Gus has even managed to survive 2 classes with me as his professor. I've been incredibly impressed with both of their professionalism, their commitment to the principles of the center, and their work ethic. You can also see through them that for the Graham Center to be an inclusive place where any student can develop the tools necessary for effective civic engagement, public leadership, and public service, we must be willing to believe in our students and be able to take some measure of risk to support them through research or internship stipends and so forth. We do not want finances to be the obstacle that prevents a student from pursuing important professional development opportunities. As I mentioned earlier, the Citizen of the Year Award honors an individual who has demonstrated a lifelong commitment to civic engagement, public service, and public leadership. This year's honoree, Alex Sink, certainly fits that bill. To tell us a bit more about her, it is my pleasure to welcome Mrs. Adele Graham, who has her own legacy of engagement, leadership, and service that she can tell as well. Following Mrs. Graham's remarks, we will have a short video about Alex Sink. Then Alex herself will join us to offer some brief remarks. We will follow that with a question and answer session with our honorees, moderated by Hannah Townley.
Good morning, and it's our pleasure to welcome you to the Graham Center. I'm so honored to be able to introduce my good friend Alex Sink as the 2020 Citizen of the Year. It's hard to describe a woman of such great accomplishments. I know Alex well as an outstanding businesswoman, a devoted wife, and a loving mother. We have known her for so many years, and I've watched her build a successful career in banking, raising 2 children, and becoming president of Nations Bank, our state's largest bank. And on her way, she met and married the amazing Bill McBride, who was a prominent lawyer, community leader, and wonderful father to their fine children. For 3 decades, Bob and I worked on many campaigns with Alex and Bill, and we were never so happy as when we were able to vote for Alex when she was elected as Florida's Chief Financial Officer in 2006. One incredible memory was dining together with them and President Clinton and Hillary Clinton in the private dining room of the White House. That was quite an evening. Alex has met many challenges, and she's remained fully committed to a life of public service. She is the founder of Ruth's List, an organization that has helped elect 90 women to local and state office and train more than 1,800 women to run for office. Through many political events that I have attended, Alex has always been there. She's been surrounded by individuals, learning from her and being inspired. Above all, Alex remains a devoted mother. She is the very proud mother of son Bert, who is a graduate of Stanford University and the University of Florida Law School. Lexi, her daughter, is a graduate of Wake Forest and the University of Florida School of Medicine. What a great accomplishment. What a wonderful person Alex Sink is. We need more women like her in public life. We need more women like her in business. We need more women like Alex Sink. We have been so fortunate to have her as our friend.
An icon by the name of Chesterfield Smith. He always had this expression, do good. So I have adopted that as my expression, do good. Go forward and do good.
Alex is just so good at being good at everything.
She puts her whole heart into anything that she does.
She deeply cares about young people and the future of our state.
She is unrelenting. She is tireless.
She's always trying to help to make a difference.
The weird thing about her is that she's been technically retired for at least the past decade. And yet there are weeks where she is working more than I am.
I grew up on a family farm in Mount Airy, North Carolina. I learned hard work from my dad. During the growing season, he was out of the house before daybreak and didn't come home until after sundown. When I went off to college, my father said, I don't care what you study or what you pursue, but you must take accounting, economics, and business law. I was a woman in a man's world. Expectations for girls weren't really that high when I grew up in the 50s and 60s. I didn't know any business women, but it was when I was exposed to that world of business and accounting that I absolutely thrived. After college, I came back and started a banking career. Even though I was one of the very few women on the professional track, I always felt like I would be given a fair shot, provided I checked all the boxes and had all the qualifications. And that led me to be able, when I moved to Florida, to aspire to become the president of the largest bank in the state of Florida. Life takes interesting turns. I was in my early 50s, had spent 26 years at the Bank of America. And my friend Betty Castor called me one day and said, Alex, there's a new job in this state called Chief Financial Officer. It's an open seat and you need to run for this. She held my hand and I decided to run for the office. And fortunately, I convinced enough voters to win that election and went to Tallahassee for 4 years and helped carry the state through the worst financial crisis that we had ever experienced. Then when Governor Christ decided not to run for governor, I made a big decision to run for governor. It's then that I realized that we really need to focus on diversifying our economy. And the way to do that is to nurture startup businesses and nurture entrepreneurs and create a more dynamic, more diversified business environment here. And unfortunately, I didn't win the race, but for the last 10 years, I just didn't stop. Like Bob Graham, there's many more ways to serve your community and serve our state. And that's why I've been so passionate about building this startup technology entrepreneurial community in our state ever since. My role at the WAVE has been to use my own credibility and my background and experience to take these startup ventures and introduce them to people who can become their customers, maybe who can become their investors. And that's what all of us here who are connected with the WAVE are attempting to do, is to be matchmakers. Another one of my passions is promoting more and encouraging more women to get engaged in elective politics. That was my inspiration 10 years ago for starting Ruth's List. I'm really personally proud of the collective effort. We have to think about women in politics. We'll live in a much better world when people of diversity are all sitting around the table making collaborative decisions. After the 2010 election, I was deciding how I could serve the people of this state, all the people of this state. And I had gotten involved in Junior Achievement to raise the money to put together something called BizTown. Every fifth grader in Hillsborough County has an opportunity to go to BizTown, and they just kind of see what the real world is like. The children have to apply for jobs ahead of time. They have to learn what their roles are going to be. This is an experience that stays with these children for really the rest of their lives. If I have that gift of giving, then I just want to keep nurturing that gift.
Alex Sink is working to uplift the next generation of public servants and elected officials and other civically minded individuals across the state.
Alex always emphasized, look for the talent and the potential. Don't just look at a resume.
Alex is the person that put me on the path to politics, essentially. She was the person that gave me my break.
She's also shared with me just the importance of building meaningful relationships.
She's connecting our experienced leaders to our young leaders who are up and coming. Even after she's left public office, you see her investing in young people and other women. And she doesn't have to do this because she's no longer in the public spotlight, but she does this because she truly cares about our state.
In spite of the fact that she came from that business world and that business background, she has really used her personality and used her resources and used her friendships to motivate others. And that's something that I think a selflessness that young people would do well to learn.
The Citizen of the Year is meant to recognize someone who has made a career of public service. It's my distinct pleasure to recognize Alex Sink as the 2020 Citizen of the Year for the Bob Graham Center for Public Service.
Thank you to Odell Graham for that very personal and emotional introduction for me. The Citizen of the Year award from the Bob Graham Center came as a complete surprise, and I'm just deeply humbled. And to share this event with G.C. Murray, and he's accomplished so much already in his young life and his inspiring comments, and this is especially meaningful, because my greatest hope is that this generation of young Floridians will rise, just as GC and you heard from Hannah and Gus have, to meet the many, many challenges and opportunities of our great state of Florida. My thanks to State Representative Ben Diamond for nominating me, and to my close friends who spoke on this video that was so well produced by Chris Cano and his talented team. My accomplishments haven't been done alone. But rather by collective teams of people who have supported and worked with me over my lifetime, starting with my mother, my father, and my sister, my school teachers, and my professors at Wake Forest University. So many colleagues at the Bank of America who worked really hard to build and strengthen communities all across Florida. My fellow members of Leadership Florida, all those thousands of voters from around the state who supported my campaigns. And also the dedicated public servants I found at the CFO's Department of Financial Services. And now the many nonprofit leaders with whom I so enjoy working to achieve a better quality of life for all Floridians. And of course, my friends, those I can call at 8 a.m. on Saturday mornings or 8 p.m. on Sunday nights. I especially want to thank my heroes, Bob and Adele Graham, for their dedicated friendship for so many years and their inspiration for millions of Floridians. And of course, I wouldn't be here today without the love and support and encouragement, and yes, the deep knowledge of Florida and Florida politics that I received for 28 years from my late husband, Bill McBride, who, by the way, was a very proud double Gator. Today, it is our children, Bert and Lexi, and their spouses who continue the legacy of leadership and service. Finally, A word about the importance of character and integrity. We live in challenging times, which call for people to stand up for what is right, to look out for our friends and neighbors, and yes, to care about strangers too, and to do just a little to make somebody else's life better. I believe that an important mission of our universities is to educate students to live lives of purpose and meaning. And that's why the work of the Bob Graham Center is so important, to prepare the next generation of young Floridians for meaningful civic action and dedication to our great state of Florida. Again, thank you so much, and I am very honored to receive this award.
Thank you, Alex, for your insights. It's now time for our Q&A portion of the event. If you have any questions for Alex or GC, please be sure to drop them in the Q&A function within Zoom. Our first question is for Alex. Alex, you've had a long historic career in Florida, front row to civic engagement and public service. How do you think civic engagement and public service have evolved in Florida over the course of your career?
Well, having lived in the state for more than 30 years, I remember moving to Miami in the early 80s. And by the way, we had a fantastic governor. His name was Bob Graham. So from that time on, civic engagement has been critically important in our state. It's been important to me personally. In Miami, even then, many, many years ago, we were really focused on these issues of diversity because, of course, Miami was a community that was building a huge Hispanic heritage community, a Haitian heritage community, a long history in the Black community. And we learned then to work together collaboratively in a multicultural environment. And to me, that's what Florida is all about. People have come to this state many, many times to fulfill their lifelong dreams. And we're a state of immigrants ourselves. And I think that fast forward to today, and of course we're weeks away from a very important election, to be able to have the national spotlight on Florida and see how many people are so engaged, whatever candidates they support, in understanding the importance of the vote. And I really compliment the work of the Bob Graham Center. And Gus, those numbers are really impressive, to be sure that our young people, our students, understand the importance of the vote. And of course, I'm wearing, you can't see it, but I'm wearing a necklace every single day that says VOTE, vote.
Thank you, Alex. GC, now for a question for you. You not only inspire and mentor young leaders, but are a young leader yourself. What do you think is the role of importance Gen Z and millennials play in rising to leadership roles in this particular moment?
Well, thank you for the question, Hannah. First and foremost, I hope you got my note of all of my friends that are not allowed to ask me questions. Don't take it.
Of course.
But honestly, as millennials become or already are the largest portion of the workforce, we have to start focusing on our voting power as well. Economic power is one thing, but if you're not turning that into voting, then truly you're missing your opportunity to truly have your voice heard. Thomas Jefferson said that every generation or every 2 generations should be a shift in the leadership of how the country thinks. And I think that that's an important thing. It actually is the model for our Constitution Revision Commission. And I think that that is something that all of us need to look into. Our forefathers and foremothers have done their jobs. They've done their due diligence to give us a society that we can work on. The union's not perfect. It's made to be perfect. But it's now on us to carry that baton. It's now on us and the next generation to start moving that forward. So I'm encouraged by the work that you all are doing there, and I hate to say it, at University of Florida. But I'm sure there's good work being done at Florida State as well, and especially at FIU. And I'm just encouraged. And I think our job is to just allow you all to have the platform. And that's kind of what we're doing with the ICE Foundation, just making sure that you all have a platform to continue communicating with other people and reaching out and letting people know that the power that is behind their voice and their vote.
Thank you. All right, this question in the chat is from Stephanie. GC, not only are you involved in the community, but you are also a known feminist. Can you provide tips on how you maintain such a great balance with your career and community involvement, and how your active involvement with your young son while also promoting your equally #rockstar wife and her career?
You know, I appreciate the sentiment, but honestly, I'm just a person. I'm just a person who wants to see everyone treated equally. As a Black man in my profession, I fully reconcile with the fact that, you know, I have benefits as a man, right? But I also have detriments being Black. So I fully understand or at least to the best of my ability, understand what I believe what women are going through, and especially Black women. And so marrying a Black wife, having a Black son, all of those things are constantly on my mind. I'm always looking for ways to kind of do better and treat people as equally as we possibly can. And I hope that I raise a son that will be like me and be like my father and like his father before, that have the utmost respect for everyone, but particularly for women, and just try to do their part to allow them to have equal access to the benefits of this world.
Thank you. Alex, this question is for you from Sarah in the chat. We so proud of fellow Mayberry and Alex Sink. We grew up together and both went into government service, raised families, and created career opportunities for ourselves and others, including international women. Oh, that's not a question, that's a comment. Sorry. Your fellow Mayberian appreciates you. This question is for Alex from Emmanuel in the chat. I love how Alex Sink drives the importance of politicians being more involved within the startup ecosystem. Does she believe that there should be an important aspect for the future of politics and how politicians approach how to serve their community?
Oh, well, thank you for the question and also the commentary. What I see is that my involvement in the tech community for the last 5 or 6 years has been really important. And the best thing is to see how interested and involved and engaged the members of the tech community are in issues of public policy and politics, and understanding how important it is to use technology and how technology can be used for more civic engagement, actually. Even I think that as horrible as this COVID pandemic has been, we've learned a lot. And one of the things we've learned is that we can participate in, through uses of Zoom and webinars, that we can have 150 people participate in this program today from all over the state of Florida and even outside of the state of Florida. And to me, one of the things that we've learned in Florida is, because we're experiencing now, is we're very heavily reliant on tourism and visitors, and we love our retirees and our tourists, but we need to build a stronger economy, and the encouraging startups and particularly startups in technology is the key to building a stronger economy for Florida with better paying jobs. And that's one of my focuses, is that we've got to have better paying jobs in the state of Florida.
Thank you. Now, another question we have is, what advice, GC, do you have for young leaders as they try to come up into our democracy? What can they do to get involved with now in order to be prepared for their public service careers?
That's an exceptional question. And, you know, I think, the Honorable Alex Sink is a tremendous guidepost for what it is that you can do, especially at a younger age. You can track her career, reverse engineer it, and get an understanding of what it was that she did that was successful, and then just implement it. But you see it all the time, though. You're starting to see that shift. And even present today, we have several younger generation political leaders. You know, I think former Representative Sean Shaw is on, future leader Ben Diamond is on. I know we have Rep. Croy, Rep. Escamani, and there's so many of the younger generation of leaders that are already engaged and are already here, that there are careers for you to follow. There are people who can give you that example of what it is that you can do. I've always learned that, if you want to be the world's best moose hunter, you have to go to where the moose are. So, this is the opportunity. If you truly want to be a politician, you truly want to be effective, then this is your time. Find out the politicians that are effective, go to them, meet them. The ones that truly care about the people are open and honest and transparent. They'll be happy to take you on as a mentor. So I just encourage you going to where the moose are.
Thank you, everyone. Remember, follow the moose or the meese. Now, Alex, this question from the chat is also for you. Alex, who is your favorite child and why is it Bert? I should note that this question comes from Bert McBride.
Well, Bert, I don't know if you can hear Freya. My 30-year housekeeper is laughing in the background. She has no surprise that you're the one that asked the question, knowing that your sister Lexi is working. She's in the emergency. She's in the ICU unit of Children's National Hospital in DC this morning, saving children's lives. You know, but I like the question because obviously I was very blessed to have a son and also a daughter, and they were born very close apart. And I never wanted my daughter to grow up with the big brother syndrome. So Bert and Lexi were given equal opportunities for service and leadership and making good grades. And I do want to say that I appreciate Bert participating in the video and explaining to everybody that sometimes, not too much, I work more hours than he does. That would be more than 60 a week.
Thank you, Alex and GC, for your insightful answers to our audience questions. I would now like to welcome back up Dr. Matt Jacobs to close out today's program.
Thank you, Alex and GC, for those inspiring and thoughtful words. Definitely follow the moose and make sure you have a favorite child. As all of you can see and hear, civic engagement, public leadership, and public service are not just commitments for our honorees, rather they are a state of mind and a way of life. We hope that the same will be true for the many students that we serve and will continue to serve in the coming years. As Hannah and Gus conveyed, we are working to provide opportunities for students to learn by doing, and through that process to develop the mindset and skills necessary to live a life of engagement, leadership, and service, regardless of the circumstances in which they may find themselves. I want to conclude by expressing my thanks. First, I would like to thank our honorees, Alex Sink and GC Murray II, for their commitment to our state and our fellow citizens. I'd like to thank Governor and Mrs. Graham for their inspiration and for their continued support of the center. I would also like to thank Dean Richardson of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences for his commitment to the center, our mission, and our service to our students. Chris Cano and his team at Better Me Productions produced the wonderful videos, and Chris has been here with us this morning as part of our production team in the Okora Pew Hall. Thank you very much, Chris. Dustin Howard, Laura Hoyles, and Charlie Daffron of UF Video Services have also been here this morning helping produce this event and are wonderful partners on many of our public programs. Finally, I want to recognize my wonderful colleagues here in the Graham Center. Associate Director Marianne Vernetson helps with the day-to-day operations of the center, oversees our public programs and our internship programs at the moment. Dorothy Zimmerman is our communications manager and also oversees our Get Out the Vote and census efforts. Leah Honecker runs the front desk, handles logistics, and very importantly, manages the financial processes for the center. We have 5 interns working for us this semester as well, 2 of whom, Summer Steele and Andy Shodell, have been helping out today here as well. Lastly, thank you again to Gus, Hannah, and all of our wonderful students. I could not do the work I do as center director without all of the wonderful support and inspiration and work that all of these individuals provide. Thank you all for joining us. If you would like to learn more about the Bob Graham Center for Public Service and how you can support us in these endeavors, please visit our website at bobgrahamcenter.ufl.edu, connect with us on social media, or feel free to reach out to me directly via email at mjacobs@ufl.edu. And please stay well. Thank you.